Hello friends, welcome back to my YouTube channel Oracle DBA Online Training. So in this session, we will be looking at how you can perform or how you can roll forward a physical standby database using recover from service option. Okay, so previously we have looked at different topics on standby database, and there was request from the community page that everyone was looking how we can perform the standby recovery using incremental backup or some other mechanism. Okay, so based upon those requests, I feel that we should first look at how we can perform the physical standby recovery using the service option, and maybe in upcoming days I'll show you how you can perform the recovery using the incremental backup as well. Okay, so let us move to the, before we move further, I'll request all the new friends to subscribe our YouTube channels, and what you have to do, you have to go on YouTube and you just search for Oracle DBA Online Training. You'll get first link that is coming for this site, and we have looked at different topics such as standby patching, standalone patching, or you can say admin backup restoration. There are so many things you can learn from our YouTube platform. Also, if you want any documents related to any topics, you just have to become a member of our YouTube channels, and you can get all the documents related to ongoing sessions. Okay, and apart from that, if you want, you can also get a personal training by contacting me on these contact details. And so without wasting much time, let's start today's agenda, that is how we can perform or how we can recover the standby database using service option. Okay, so from the 12C onwards, this new feature called recover from the service. Okay, so previously we were performing the incremental backups based upon the current SCN's numbers on the standby database. So I mean that was a little bit I mean old mechanism or method that we can still use, but from the 12C onwards we have the new method which is called recover from service option. Okay, so I'll show you, I'll step by step I'll guide you how you can perform these things. So let us start from the practical demo. Okay, so this is our primary database. If you look at this, so this is test environment and running on the primary host. Database role is primary, and this one is a physical standby database running as a physical standby database. Okay, and currently we are applying the MRP. And if you look at the current gap, so there is no gap as of now. So what we'll do, we'll demonstrate, we'll try to make some gap between the primary and standby database, and then we'll using this service option we'll try to do the recovery. Okay, so let us do it quickly. So first we need to identify what is the current SCN number on primary and standby database. So as of now, you can see this is my current SCN number. Maybe this is our standby current SCN number. So meanwhile, when I was running this command, in between this got maybe a few SCN is got. So basically, I mean, this SCN is more than the SCN on the primary setup because of while pasting this command in between, it got increased. Okay, so we don't have to worry about that. So in real production, sometimes what happens in between the primary and standby setup, there is gap of let's say 500 archives or let's say thousands of archives. So in those situations, you cannot rely on the log shipping between primary and standby and then performing the recovery. Okay, so in those situations, what you can do, you can perform the either incremental backups using the RMAN utility, or or otherwise you can basically use this second method that I'm going to show, from the service option. It is basically based upon the RMAN utility only. But before you perform anything, you just have to verify all these details. So let us verify. So currently we have this SCN number, and what we can do, we can identify the timestamp based upon this current SCN. Okay, so this is our current SCN, and I'll try to fetch the current time based upon this SCN number. Okay, so this is at around 2:29 p.m. and the same thing you can verify on the standby also, until and unless it is in the read-only mode. Okay, and if it is in mount state, you cannot identify. So let us try to create one user, and we'll try to do some inserts on this user. Before we do anything, we'll make the since we in our situation we don't have any gap as of now, we have to make the gap for demo, I mean for the demo purpose. So I'll do, I'll just defer the log archived as 2. Okay, so let me just quickly change this parameter, the system set log underscore archived as 2 to defer state. So as soon as we make it defer, and after that we will create one user as a test one, and we'll try to insert some data into this. Okay, I'll create one demo table, and within that table I'll try to insert some data. So as soon as you generate this amount of data, let's say 1 lakhs of data is getting insert into this demo table. So once this data get inserted, so there will be multiple log switches happens in between. So based upon that, we'll try to make it primary and standby sync using the service option. Okay, so now I created the test one user, and under this test one user we have provided the grants for the users. Now I'll create the table and we'll try to insert some data into it. This is done. After that, we'll try to insert some rows. So meanwhile, this data is getting inserted in the table. So in the backends, we can just verify what is happening. So here you can see there is a log switch happening between the primary and standby. So these logs will not ship to the standby since we have made it a defer, and okay, so there is very few archives which got generated. What I'll do, I'll just try to make some another entry. Let's say suppose 7, and I'll make it some more data insertion. Okay. So on the primary setup, I'm just trying to insert a lot of data on the demo table that we have created previously, so that we can have few archives getting generated in the backends, so that we can create some gap between the primary and standby. And once the gap is there, then we can perform the recovery using the service option that we discussed earlier. Okay. So in real production environment, we don't have to explicitly create this gap between primary and standby. I mean, sometimes due to network issue or the slow network bandwidth, so and or maybe some application activity. So because of those, if there is a huge number of archives get generated, so your standby database might be in the lagging behind your primary setup. So on those situations, we can use this mechanism to recover the standby. Okay, so as of now, we can see there is a lot of change happening in between the primary standby, even though data files are getting resized because of the data insertion we are performing as of now. And it is still not completed. This is a procedure which will insert data into these tables with some random values. Okay. So if you want to learn or if you want this document, you just have to become a member of our YouTube channels, and you can access our membership documents, and you can also practice the same scenarios in your local system or local testing environments. And apart from that, if you guys want any kind of personal assistance or personal trainings, please contact me on my WhatsApp number. I already provided the details in the description. Please go through it. And if you are new on my YouTube channel, please subscribe our YouTube channel. I think this is taking a bit of time. Let's wait a few minutes. Currently, we can see the sequence is changed to 93, and I think within few minutes it should be getting completed. Okay, so once this is complete, we'll verify what is the current number of rows in this particular tables. After waiting for some period of time, we can see that this procedure got completed. And now let's verify what is current count. So we can see almost almost 10 millions of rows has been inserted, and after that we just move to the next part, that is verifying the current sequence between the primary and standby. So let me just run the gap command. So we can see there is some gap created between the primary and standby database. Okay, so after this we'll move to the next part, that is verifying the current SCN on the different files. So in real production, I mean, if you are getting some you can just verify the current SCN between the primary and standby, and then if you can see there is like lag between the primary and standby. So based upon that, you can see. So currently, you can see the current SCN on the primary is in the 19 lakhs, and this one on the standby it is lagging behind like 18 lakhs. Okay, so there is a huge gap between these two, and so as a next part of this entire process, I mean, as a recovery process, you have to move to the standby setup, and you need to cancel the recovery first from the standby. Okay, after this you will need to bring down your database, standby database, and keep it in mount state. So let us stop the database in the standby setup and start it in the mount state. Okay, so we have verified that there is some gap between the primary and standby database. So we need to fix this. So in order to fix this, we need to first keep our standby database in mount state, and then we need to log in into the standby database setup into the admin prompt. Our database getting started, and we can just cross verify this is our standby database, and currently it is in mount state. After this, I'll log in with admin target command. So using service command, basically it looks something like this. So you need to mention record a database from the service, and here you need to mention the service. This service name you will identify from the tns names.ora file. So let us just verify, or maybe you can just cat the tns names.ora file, which points the primary setup. Okay, so I'll just go to the cd $oracle_home /network /admin. Okay, here you need to mention tnsnames.ora file, so we can find out this is our primary setup. So 104 you can see on the IP list. So this is my primary setup 104, and this is the standby setup. Okay, and so next part, I mean, I need to use this service name while running this commands. Okay, so recover database from service, and the service name no redo using compressed backup set. So we need to execute this commands, so it will basically fix the gap between primary and standby setup. Okay, so I'll log in with admin prompt and I will try to execute it. Okay, so listener is not running. This is what the message that we are getting. So I think there is some issue. Let me just check. Oh, there is no listener running. I need to start the listener first. Okay. So I mean, because the listener was not running, we got this error. As soon as the listener starts up and running, and we can just run the tns ping command also. Let me just execute it. So listener is started. We need to just register with the database also. Okay, so it is registered. Now if you execute this command, you will get it very quickly. Okay, that means now we can execute from service command that we are seeing here. So it is very important that the connectivity between primary and standby has to be there, and I mean, DNS ping should be reachable between the primary and standby setup. So from record database from service test_primary, this is pointing to the primary setup. No redo using compressed backup set option, we have mentioned it. So now it will perform the incremental backup over the network. Okay. We just have to wait, and automatically it will check the current SCN, and based upon the current SCN it will perform the incremental restoration of the data files. Okay, so this is not actual data file restoration, but it is just basically restoring some part of the data files. Okay, so here you can see incremental restore completed. Incremental restore completed. Okay, so here you can get the checkpoint details from the primary. So this is coming, I mean, as per the latest checkpoint number, it is updating the data files. So this is still not completed. Just wait for a few minutes more. Once it is completed, then we need to move further. Okay. So this command finished, and now we can move to the next part, that is checking out the current status from the primary and standby side. So you can execute this command, which will provide you the SCN details for the file numbers and SCN numbers. So let's execute it. So these are the current SCN for all the files which we have, and the primary setup also you can execute. You can just cross verify these numbers. Okay, so for system files, this is the numbers, and this one is on the standby also. That means we are on good. Okay, and after this we can just bring down again the standby database and start it in no mount. Since we have at this junction we need to store the control file also. Since our control file is lagging behind our data files, SCN numbers. Okay, so we need to update that also. For updating the control file, we need to restore over the network. So using the same command that we used previously here, like record database from service option, we need to again restore standby control file from the service. Okay, so from the primary setup, we'll try to restore the control file. So this is stopped, and now it is getting no mounted. So it is now completed, and we'll try to restore the control file from the service option. So whenever you are performing such activity, please keep an eye on control file also, I mean alert log also, so that you will keep on getting all the updates in the backends. So we can see the control file is restored at that to specific location based upon my P file definition. And so now next part, I'll just mount the database using alter database mount. Since we have restored the control file from the primary, so the data file location and redo log file location will be based upon primary location. So we need to just adjust those things also while running this command. So first verify what is the current details in the control file. So now you can see the control file is basically pointing to the data file location, which is on U0 2 location, but actual data file is residing under the test stby. Okay, so this location is incorrect. Let me just show you again. So if you see ls-lrt command also, oh sorry, it will not work in this prompt. Let me just show again. So there is no such file or directory, and if you try to see this file as a test stby, you'll find out all the files residing in it. Okay, so we need to adjust this location again. So for adjusting the location, you need to run the catalog commands with the data file location. Okay, let me just log in again with rman prompt. Catalog start with, and then you need to provide the location of your standby and the data file. So here you can see it automatically detects all the data files, and the same way we have to do for the log file also, but it is not requiring a log file case since we need to rename the log file, so we can just ignore that part. Yeah, one more important task that we need to see if if there is any incarnation previously happened on your family setups, so accordingly you have to adjust it on the standby. Since in our case there is no such things, let's just verify it. So next question in your mind will be like how we can perform the same thing on the rack environment. So in upcoming days, I'll show you that also, but mostly the steps will remain the same. So you just have to adjust. Bring down your second instance of your rack environment standby. Okay, and the rest of commands and everything will remain same. So we don't see any incarnation between primary and standby, so it is okay. We can go ahead on the same incarnation number. Okay, if there is anything, you can just reset the database incarnation and go ahead in that fashion. Okay, so once you have cataloged it, and after the next step is to perform the switch database to copy. That means the control file now adjusts all the data file to new location file. Okay, so after this we need to move to the next part, that is checking out the log files. Okay, so we need to just verify the log file. So currently we have 4 standby log files. So let us log in with SQL prompt. So we have total 7 members. So whenever you perform any incremental backup, you need to make sure that you clear the redo log file also. Okay, so we will do it, but if you look at the location of current uh, redo log members, you'll find out it is pointing to some different location which does not exist. It is based upon primary location since control list file is from primary. So we need to adjust this also, and then only we can clear this redo log file. Okay, so let's do it quickly. And if I already have the command ready, so basically what you need to do, you have to mention alter database rename file, and this is the original location as per the control file, and this is the actual location of the files where your files will be. Okay, so you need to adjust it, but before you adjust, you make sure the standby file management parameter is set to manual. So let us do it quickly, and after that you need to just rename all the files in the control file. Okay, so we have done it, and after this you can just cross verify by running the select member command again. So now it is changed to new location. After this you can just make the standby file management auto, and if you want, you just you can clear out all the log files. Okay, so we have these are the groups of standby log files, so we have cleared it out, and after this we can just perform the recovery. So at the mount state only you just have to perform the recovery. Once it comes in sync, then you can perform the. So we just started the recovery. See, our recovery was already done in previous incremental backup that we applied. Okay, so so let us try to perform some switch over, log switches. So as of now, we can see this location shows that it is 16 only. So first we need to defer enable the location that we deferred it. Okay, so because it is not able to communicate with standby, so we need to just adjust. Okay, so we'll adjust this location. So it is open for the new sequence. Okay, so previously we are on the, let's suppose this one. Yeah, so it is last archive was 101, so it is now waiting for 102. So this will get updated in few seconds. It takes a bit of time. Once when you can just perform the alter system switch log file. So let us do one by one more time, defer and enable. The view from which it is fetching the gap, it takes a bit of time. You just have to wait. So now we can see the gap is reduced to 1. That means our recovery is already completed. The previous recovery was already there. So let us just verify the table also. And if you want, you can just like cancel the recovery at this junction and open the database in read only. So that you can use your database as an active data guard. Okay, so this is opened with, sorry, this is open in read only mode, and now we'll try to recover the standby database using the read only option. So we can just cross verify the count of the table between the primary and standby. So it is now same count that we have previously done. Okay, so that means our primary and standby database becomes sync using the service option that we used here. Okay, so you just have to take care of two things. One is initially you have to first perform the recovery database from service option using compressed backup set. After that, you need to perform the control file restoration. Once you restore the control file, you have to make sure you switch the data file to the new locations. Okay, and also you need to make sure your redo log file get cleared. Okay, so this way you can perform the recovery, and again you can just cross verify. So in my case, I already did it. So if you run the gap command from this, so I already have one script which provide me the details between the primary and standby lag. Okay, so I hope you have understood how to perform the recovery of any standby database using service option. And with this, our today's agenda is finished. And please subscribe our YouTube channel, Oracle DBA Online Training, and become a you can enroll our exclusive membership benefits for getting all the documents related to every training sessions. And please get in touch with me on this contact detail if you want for any personal training or any personal assistant about Oracle database. And stay in touch with me on these various social media platforms. So thanks for watching today's session. Have a great day. Bye.